what happens when you suppress your negative emotions, and what impact does that have on you? Well, stick with me for the next few minutes, and with the help of this bowl and these balls, I'll do my best to explain, because as we know only too well, negative experiences and the emotions that we feel as a result of them, well, they're not only inevitable, but they're not particularly pleasant, are they? And so we often find ourselves trying to resist them or to fight them in some way. In other words, we try to suppress our emotions. And it works a little bit like this. So this bowl represents our mind, and it's pretty big and it can contain quite a lot of stuff. Now, the water within the bowl represents our consciousness, or in other words, how aware we are of what's going on in our minds. And all these bowls represent all of the different things that we have to do on a day-to-day basis. For example, we might need to go out and walk the dog, hi mate, or we might need to take the kids off to school, have a good one, or we might have to write that report, or head off to that meeting, or we've got to throw in some time to visit the parents as well, haven't we? And normally all those things that we have to do sit pretty comfortably in our mind and in our consciousness. But let's take a look at what happens when something negative comes along. Because unlike all of those other things that sit quite comfortably in our mind, the negative emotion, when that pops up, just gets in the way of everything else, doesn't it? And it sits there right at the top of our mind, in our consciousness, quite high up. And we can't get to all of those other things that we need to do because that negative emotion just sits there in the way. But here's the thing. We can't just take it out because it's in our mind now, and it's a slippery little devil as well. So once it's in there, so what we tend to do is we try to push it down or hide it from the surface so no one can see it. In other words, we try to suppress our negative emotions. But the process of suppression, it's really quite difficult because it requires quite a lot of energy and a lot of concentration to keep it down there. And at some point, we probably just end up giving up, and that emotion rises straight back up to the surface again. And so whilst suppression might seem like quite a good way to hide our emotions, it's only temporary, because despite our best efforts, those negative emotions will inevitably keep coming back up to the surface again, which over time that can be exhausting, can't it? And it can lead to other complications as well. So what can we start to do about it? Well, another much more effective way of dealing with negative emotions is to simply accept that they're there. And instead of wasting energy trying to fight against them and to push them down, just allow them to be there. Acknowledge them. They're not particularly pleasant, but don't fight them. Just learn how to potentially brush them aside and maybe refocus your energies on some of those more important things in life. So my name's Rob. I'm a certified mental health first aid instructor and a certified neuro change master practitioner. And if you want to know a little bit more about some of these tools, you can follow me here or watch some of my other videos here. Thanks a lot. Take care. Just need a minute to dry my balls.